Hello and welcome everybody, it's Karen. I've got a fun little interactive card to share today and I'm using this bunny balloon stamp set. Now you can see I've just colored up those two little bunnies there and their balloons, and I've cut two circles with just a circle die that I've colored in to look like balloons because I wanted to stamp these extra sentiments onto them. So I'm using my anti-static powder tool, and then I stamped in black ink and clear heat embossed them just to add a bit more to the card front. Now my card is going to be a 5.5-inch square card. So I've got a card front there that I'm working on, and I've got this Winter Wonderland stencil because I want to put those trees down at the bottom. So I'm just positioning that on the bottom part of my card front. And I've got some mowed lawn, Distress Oxide mowed lawn, and Rustic Wilderness. And I'm using my foam blending tool just to get some color down on the first layer of that stencil there. And then I went in with a very small brush and some Rustic Wilderness and just sort of dabbled in some little darker areas just to, give a bit of variation of color to those trees. So I was just doing this super quickly, nothing fancy. And I don't think it matters in the end. So you can see there it's quite rough. But then I've gone back, I'm putting my stencil down a little bit lower and positioning it there, and I'm going in with some more Rustic Wilderness and a bit of mowed lawn, I think, just to darken up the forefront of the trees so you can see there. And then I wanted one more nice big tree at the front, so I picked that one that's off on the left there, and I could have used a better tool, but I used my foam brush. And I'm just dabbing in some more Rustic Wilderness onto that just to give that tree a little bit of extra, darkness and dimension. And then I felt like I didn't have enough darkness, so I added just a little bit more. Now here I've got the grass and cloud edger die, and you can see I've cut two of the clouds at the top there. I also stamped these two balloons from the third bunny in that bunny balloon stamp set, just because I wanted a few more balloons on my card. So you'll see how those come in towards the end. But here I'm just kind of deciding how much of this first layer of cloud I need. I cut it extra long just because I wasn't entirely sure. And on these two circles, I just poked a hole and I thread some silver cord through that, and I'm taping that onto the back with regular one-sided Scotch tape. Just to hold those strings in place. Now on that second layer of the cloud edger, I went in with a little bit of ink on a blending sponge and just added a hint of paler blue to it. Now I'm going to make these little bunnies swing on pendulums, and so I'm actually gluing this first bunny right to a piece of scrap acetate that you can see there. Now that acetate I knew was going to be tall enough to make a pendulum swing. So you can see there's quite a bit of space up above it. And so while that glue is still wet, I am going to just trim right around this bunny. I'm sort of angling my scissors underneath that bunny, and I go right up along that black string that is there to the top of the balloon. And I know I have to keep a straight tab at the top. So I'm going to just take my long scissors, cut a straight tab down, and then I cut another one down the bottom. Now that tab has to be wide enough. I've got these, a paper punch that I'm going to punch a hole with. And so that tab has to be wide enough for whatever size hole you punch. And then I can just finish going around, trimming off the acetate. You could leave it so the acetate showed. I just don't particularly enjoy seeing the acetate moving. It's a little more fun if it looks like the bunny is just swinging on its own. So that was why I trimmed it right down and just left the top. So you can see here, you don't really see the acetate at the bottom. You'll see it at the top, but not so much at the bottom. Now to help that little bunny swing, I have a penny that I put some red line tape on, and it was, the bunny is just big enough to cover that penny. So I got away with this one, and you'll see I'm just attaching that now right to the center of it. And that penny actually gives it some weight so that it will swing much more easily. And this is the second bunny now, so I'm doing exactly the same thing. I've trimmed around the bottom, and I'm going to leave a tab at the top that's wide enough for this paper punch, and I just cut it straight down. I give myself a little bit of extra room, just cut it straight down, and then finish trimming out around that image. Now this bunny is much smaller, and the penny wouldn't fit in behind its body, so I've got a button, a very small button, that I've put some double-sided red line tape on. And now you'll see the difference in how they swing. The button is much lighter, so it just doesn't swing quite as much as the bunny on the left. But I was okay with that because it sort of gives a bit of variation to the interactiveness of this card. So here I'm positioning, I have that balloon, I knew I wanted it to go on the left, and I'm just positioning this pendular bunny here, trying to see where he needed to sit. I trimmed a little bit off the top, but now I know I've got this sentiment that is going to go at the bottom. So I actually ended up having to trim a little bit more off that bunny. So you can see it would hang over the top. So I just trimmed a bit more off the top. And then I like to corner round those edges. You don't have to because there's really nothing it's going to catch on, but I just find it's a little bit smoother, you know, if I just round it. So you can see there, I've rounded the corner on it. And now I will take my paper punch. You don't want to punch this right at the very, very top. You want to give yourself a little bit of room. So I sort of punched it down a little bit below so it's not too weak at the top. And you can punch that a couple of times to widen that hole if you want. So you can see there's a bit of room there. Now I'm taking 2 pieces of foam tape and I'm sticking the sticky sides together. So the backing paper is on the front and back, and then I will punch through that with the same punch. It automatically seems to take the back paper, release paper off, but I've got this little round circle now that I know I can put through that hole that I've widened just a little bit. And I'm just checking here to see where this little guy is going to go. And then I'll stick that foam tape right through that center. And you can see if I hold it up, he'll swing really nice and easily there. But you have to put something on top of that. And so that's what this cloud edger is going to do. It will attach that top of the foam tape so that it can't go anywhere. So what I ended up doing is I sort of penciled in where that was from the front. So you can see there, that's my pencil mark, and I know that's roughly where that foam tape is. And I have left it all blank without any foam tape below that. And then I put 2 layers of foam tape all over the back of this cloud edger. So you definitely want to leave that space for the pendulum to swing. But because I used 2 layers of foam tape on that little circle, I needed 2 layers of foam tape to go over the rest of it. And so once you have it attached on, he's attached, that bunny is attached, and he can't swing anywhere. Now this one, I thought I would attach him to the second layer of cloud just to give a bit of variation again. So I'm just positioning him, trying to see where he needed to go, and then I could trim off the top of that. And again, I rounded the corners and punched my hole in it a couple of times just to widen that a little bit. Now I'm putting 1 piece of foam tape on a scrap piece of the backing that I had used on the first layer of the cloud, and I am punching a hole with that. So this one is only going to be 1 layer thick of foam tape. So I'm sort of positioning where he's going to go. And once I've got it there, now technically I probably could have just used some low-tack tape at this point and tacked it in place, but I didn't. I am just going to put my little circle of foam tape, this is the 1 layer of foam tape, I'm putting that right in the hole, and that's where he will sit. Now I'm just making sure I didn't tape down that pendulum because otherwise it won't swing. And then I can put some extra foam tape all around that through the cloud, just the 1 layer this time, and then I can remove that release paper on all of it, including that little dot. And then you want to flip your image over because this is the back side, and reattach it over that circle of foam tape. And now I found it easiest to tack this in place. So on the front, I've got a little piece of low tack tape. I'm going to flip it over and just attach that pendulum right to the cloud layer so it can't fall off or go anywhere. And then again, I added a little bit of glue to my foam tape just so I had wiggle room to attach this and line it up on the first layer of cloud. So all I'm doing is lining that up with that top edge and the side edges. And once it's there, then you can take that low tack tape off and it should all be set in place. So you can see the one on the left will swing quite a bit more because he's got the heavier weight on it than the one on the right, but that was kind of okay with me. So I'm gluing this extra balloon down now up on the left, and I wanted that string well out of the way and I wasn't sure, so what I'm going to do is I've put it on an old computer mouse pad and I will poke a hole down near the bottom there for that cord to go through. So I'm just going to widen that hole just a little bit. I stuck it through, the cord through, and then on the back I'm attaching it with one-sided Scotch tape again. So that little bunny on the left there can swing away and it's not interfering with that purpley pink balloon. So I did the same with this blue balloon, and I'm leaving a little bit of the cord so that it can stretch over to the left a bit, and then I will tape it down at the back. And then because I definitely wanted that to sort of be out of the way of that balloon or the bunny on the right, I'm gluing it down in place, and then I put some an acrylic block on top of that just to let that set up. Now I have these two extra balloons that I had stamped and colored in, and I thought it would be fun to thread them through the Wishes die. So I've got that, I'm putting that through the E at the bottom there. Sort of, I thought this could maybe cover up that base of the blue balloon. So that's all I'm checking on there, that my cord's long enough to go up that way. And then once it was there, I just used, again, that same one-sided Scotch tape, just a tiny little piece, and tacked that down in place on the back. I will glue everything in a minute here, but I just needed to hold it in place at the beginning here just to keep it where I wanted it to go. So I'm gluing that right down to the card base now, and then I will glue these two balloons down. And so this one little balloon can cover up the bottom of that silver cord on the blue balloon, and it will help to hold that all down in place so that it's not interfering with that bunny. And so then I just glued the second balloon down and the bottom of that Wishes. Now that sentiment is from the Birthday Wishes word die set from Whimsy Stamps, and I used some of the mermaid paper to cut that out, and I stacked it up on 2 layers of white die cut sentiment. So that's the final card. I've attached it to my card base now, and there they are swinging away. So I hope that's given you guys some fun ideas there. I hope everybody's having a great day and that you'll come back for the next video. Thanks so much for stopping by.